Those are the first of the potatoes for the year. We're planting them today, and yes, it's very early to plant potatoes, but we are in the hoop house. So our potatoes outside won't go in until another month and a half, 2 months. But we like to get an early planting of potatoes in the hoop house. Now it takes a little bit of finesse to be able to do it. You got to do it at the right time, and we have our hoops set up here in row covers, so they will take a lot of covering at night during the cold nights and uncovering to keep them alive, but it's worth it for those early potatoes. When everyone else is just planting their potatoes, we're about ready to harvest our first planting. So just want to quick show you how we do that. So here's our potatoes. So we like ones that are mostly disease-free. Now this is a green. The greening that happens when the potato gets exposed to sunlight. Now we will take these and actually plant them. It doesn't hurt. This can't be transferred from potato to potato, so it doesn't matter. Instead of having to peel all that off in the kitchen, we might as well just use them to plant the next year. So we take all those green ones for sure that are small, and we save all the small potatoes like this size. That way we don't have to cut them. If you get big potatoes in, you have to cut them, and you have to let them like heal over, and sometimes they rot out. And in our experience, planting a bigger potato does not give you bigger potatoes. These small potatoes will produce just as many nice big potatoes as a big potato. Like this one here is a little bit bigger, but some of these itsy bitsy ones may produce more than that. A lot of it depends on your soil, how healthy your soil is, and just the conditions. If it's really wet or if it's nice conditions. So here I'll show you what I do. So I have my stick here. I go about every 2 feet, so I just measured out a stick. I just lay it down, and these, since we don't till our soil, it's another reason why we can plant so early. So I just get my couple fingers down in there, dig a hole, pull it aside. Got a potato. I like to put the shoots sticking up and put that in the hole and cover it. That's all it takes. Do that here. So I'm kind of curious how these potatoes will do in this hoop house, because we haven't planted potatoes in this hoop house yet. We planted them in our other two. This is actually our oldest one, so the soil in here should be the nicest. However, I can tell when digging down that this hoop house has not received as much compost as the others, which is fine. It just means that when the potatoes grow up, when it forms the tubers, it's going to form them closer to the surface. So I'll have to be careful that those potatoes don't get exposed. So when they are growing about a foot high, I'll have to come back through here, and I'll put a nice layer just of compost around each plant. And what that does, that just helps to cover the tubers underneath forming. Now I have to do that anyways, no matter where I plant them. But in this hoop house, I'll probably have to do a little bit more just because of that. Because these are probably, I'm planting a little bit closer to the surface than I would our other hoop house. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And actually here, you can see what's coming up in between. This is arugula. So the potatoes will take, when I plant them here, depending on the weather, it looks like it's going to be kind of cool for the next week and a half. So it may take 3 weeks for these sprouts to finally push up through the ground. So it takes some time, but just because you don't see them doesn't mean there's nothing going on. They'll be putting out roots. And so when the nicer weather does come in April and May, the roots will all be developed, and the growth will just take off. And so these will usually be harvested around June. But because of that, because they take a while to come up once they're planted, we like to get a planting of something else in between. So I plant 2 rows, one on each side here. And so that leaves the middle open. And so this arugula grows pretty quick. This will be ready to harvest in about a month. So in about a month, these will probably be, the potatoes will be sticking up through the ground, but just maybe 4 or 5 inches. And so before the potatoes provide that canopy for the soil, we'll have the arugula here to harvest from. And so that's one way we can, on a small scale, a small farm, we can get a lot of production in the area is by utilizing that space until a crop is going to fill it out. So if we know we have a month or two until the bed fills out, well, we can get a quick growing crop in between there beforehand. So we have arugula here in this bed right here. It's just starting to come up. I don't know if you can see it. There's one there. They're just starting to poke up. So the kale's a little bit behind, but this is baby kale in this row. And I have another row of potatoes that I planted, and we have radishes in between there. So all those are quick growing, just to utilize space. So yep, that's what I'm doing today. Until next time, eat well, live well.